Hi, my name is Kat Livingston. I'm a dietitian living and working in Oregon. I have a outpatient practice through a hospital. I also see inpatients. But for the last few years, I've been working with my patients to be healthier, lose weight. Not everybody, of course, but those who come to me to reduce their HbA1c, which is the diabetes test that tells how much sugar has been attached to the red blood cell over a 3-month period. But also just for people trying to lose weight, or maybe they have pre-diabetes or gestational diabetes. So I've been asked by many of my patients to make some videos because a lot of the information that I share with them, they haven't heard before. I've had friends of mine, I've shared this and they're like, I've never heard this stuff before. And it seems to be like a game of telephone. I tell one person about it and then somebody else hears about it and then, or knows somebody who's doing it and it's working really well for them and they want me to share that information with them. So it's just kind of gone forward. It's gotten its own momentum. When I first started working with outpatients, I used to recommend everything I'd learned in school, eating 5-6 times a day, eating breakfast within an hour of waking, and I do still recommend those things. But when keto diet came out, a lot of people wanted more recommendations for just keto diet. As a dietitian, I could not recommend that because that's not sustainable, but that's not the main reason. The main reason I don't support a really strict keto diet is because you have to worry about the pH of the patient, and therefore they have to be testing their urine and they need to be followed. And I would never want one of my patients to have acidic blood and end up in the hospital or anything like that. So what I do is I work with, I initially started working with just a Mediterranean diet. As time went on and more research was done on my part and having the successes and the failures of my patients, the message started to change a little bit. So I'm going to talk about fats and carbs and protein and understanding that in a different video. This video, I'm just going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit more about me and my story. So I'm somebody who went back to school later in life, and I was thin growing up, and then I was overweight for a chunk of time, about 17 years, gained weight with the pregnancy of my daughter, didn't lose it, and then I was overweight, and then in 2002, I lost weight. I lost 90 pounds, and I kept that off for 3 years. I didn't do it the super healthy way. What I was eating was good, and I was exercising, but I was also starving myself somewhat, going to bed hungry. And then I kept that off for 3 years. Then when I was pregnant with my son, I gained weight during the pregnancy, and I was 1 point away from having gestational diabetes. And so I met with a dietitian, and at that time it was the food pyramid, and she had this poster, and it reduced the 5 food groups to 3 food groups. Protein and dairy was put together, fruits and vegetables were put together, and then grains were put together. And she said, every time you eating 5-6 times a day, I want you to have one of each component, at least one. So for a snack, for example, I'm very type A, as most dietitians are. My light keeps flickering. So anyway, the very next day, I had my breakfast, and then like for a snack, it was 1 reduced, like a string cheese, 10 reduced fat wheat thins, half a cup of baby carrots with 2 teaspoons of homemade ranch. And I followed that. And by the time that I went to get checked in to give birth, it was 3 weeks later, I lost 15 pounds, and that just blew my mind. All I did was start eating more often, and I started eating breakfast within an hour of waking. So that was really interesting. Now, he was breastfed, and by the time he was 5 weeks old, I'd lost all my pregnancy weight. That just blew my mind. Now, I still was a bit overweight. Sorry, I do believe in angels, and I've been feeling like I have to make this message, so I think it's really cute that I'm having a little light flickers here. So anyway, so then when I slowed down nursing, when he was 1.5 years, I started gaining weight. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I was mostly gluten-free at that time as well, because he was a bit colicky, and I was gluten-free while I was breastfeeding. Let me try to fix that, because now I'm like seeing it so often. Okay. So anyway, I started gaining weight. I started gaining weight like clockwork, like 2 pounds a week. I was working in an office at the time. We had exercise equipment down the hall. I was using my breaks and lunch to work out. I was working out after work. I'm with my coworker. We're on the treadmill, and she's like just la 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 and losing weight. I'm on the treadmill just sweating profusely, and I still was gaining 2 pounds a week. It was very, very frustrating. So finally my doctor said, I think you really have some major insulin resistance issues and your pancreas is not so happy. He asked me to consider a gastric bypass at that time, and I did not want to do that. I knew that it had issues. I knew that people had dumping syndrome, and it did not seem to be the way for me. So I continued to try to do this on my own, and I kept gaining 2 pounds a week. So I finally ended up having weight loss surgery after I had ballooned up to over 300 pounds. I don't even know at the heaviest how much I actually weighed, because I wasn't even weighing myself. It was awful, so shameful, and I didn't know what else to do about it. So I ended up having weight loss surgery in December 2007. And by January 2009, I had lost all my weight. I was a size 6. I was walking, exercising. I felt good. And I've maintained that. So that was, so 2007. So it's been over 10 years. I have lost good over 200 pounds. I dress my body well for it, but I still have some loose skin. Part of why I'm making these videos are for my patients, but I've also been being led very strongly to share my story. I feel that we're at a time right now where we need to support each other, and especially women. We need to support each other and stop shooting on ourselves. Really start being more empowered and loving ourselves more. This has been a very difficult year for me. But it's been incredibly empowering, and I have come into a self-love that I never had for myself, and growing in confidence, growing in releasing insecurities of the past, but really truly healing all of the crap that probably has definitely been with me my entire lifetime, but probably even longer than that, and I think through some lifetimes. So the universe has been supporting me amazingly, and I have made so many amazing connections with women going forward that as time has gone on, especially over the last 2 months, I have been being called to share my story and to help other women know that they are not alone, and stop shooting on yourselves. So part of that is wellness and teaching about wellness. From what I understand, I have lots of dietitian friends, but because of my experience and because of my education, I look at it a little differently. So I'm going to talk about absorption, digestion, and all of that in a separate video. But one thing I really just want to say right here, and I'm going to just make this a little shorter, is please stop being brainwashed to be fat starved. If you have lived through the 80s and 90s, you have been brainwashed to be fat starved. When it comes to healthy fats, it is not calories in, calories out. You got to break that. And I have so many female patients who struggle with that, who like will restrict mixed nuts to just that quarter of a cup, who won't eat the whole avocado. Eat the damn whole avocado. An entire cup of avocado has 1 gram of sugar, 10 grams of fiber, and 22 grams of yummy, delicious fat. When you, just like the keto diet, you can use those healthy fats to put you into fat burning. So the way that I work with my patients and the recommendations that I have, beef up those vegetables. You've got to increase the vegetables. Stop following the stupid American pattern where maybe you have half a cup of vegetables at dinner. I have patients who aren't drinking soda anymore. They're not eating out fast food, and they don't understand why they aren't losing weight. Well, you got to get those veggies up. And we're going to talk about that in another video. But I just wanted to introduce myself. So I am Kat, and I have been where you are. If you have significant belly fat, you have been brainwashed to be fat starved. Period. It's not calories in, calories out, you guys. And I'll also get on my soapbox about how important those healthy fats are for your brain, and how we have all been brainwashed, and how, to the detriment of our actual health. Excuse me. Your brain needs fat to think correctly. So that's all I'm going to say. There will be a lot more videos to follow. Thank you.